Hi and welcome to another gaming video. And in today's video, well, I want to talk about these virtual game card things that they've introduced with the Switch 2, and they've sort of backward moved them onto the Switch. So I've got my Switch Lite here, which I haven't turned on for quite some time. I turned it on yesterday. There was a system update, there were lots of game updates, so I let it do it. A couple of hours later and it finished. And then I went to load a game, Doom Eternal, which I bought ages ago on my Switch Lite, and it wouldn't let me play it. It kept coming up with this virtual game card warning screen, and it said, in order to load virtual game cards to this console, it will need to be paired with Simon's console shown below. The pairing process only needs to be completed once. And then there's a picture of two switches. One was my Switch Lite, and one was called Sam's Switch, which would have been my wife's Switch. But we've got separate Nintendo accounts. They've never been really linked together, so I don't understand why that's there. And she don't have her Switch anymore, so it wouldn't let me progress. It kept saying it needed to pair it to it, and it was so annoying. These are games that I have purchased on my account using my Switch, and yet somehow they seem to be linked, and it just wouldn't let me do it. I did eventually work out how to do it. Like I say, she doesn't have a Switch anymore, but luckily her Nintendo account is still there. So I removed her Switch from her Nintendo account. Then I went and logged into my Nintendo account, which you can't do it on a Switch. You've got to do it on a web browser. And yes, it looked as if my Switch and her Switch were linked together somehow for some reason. So I removed her Switch from my Nintendo account, and everything seemed to be going back to normal. So I can now play my games that I've purchased on my console, on my account, without the need for it to be paired or linked or whatever to another account. But it's annoyed me because this is something that they brought in for the Switch 2 in preparation for the Switch 2, sort of sharing these game cards, etc. Why can't they just leave current Switch owners alone? And it doesn't really stop there. So I've got this big stash of games that I have purchased on this Switch, on my Switch account, and I've been through a few of them. But if I want to play Crysis 3, it pops up that you'll need to load virtual game card to this console in order to play this software. Yep, never had that sort of message before. So you go yes. Which account would you like to link it to or load it onto? So my virtual game card. And then it does it. So that's all good and well, and then I can go ahead and play if I want to. That has now linked that to my Switch, my account, loaded it onto, I don't really know to be fair. Go back into Crysis, and it doesn't ask you to do it again. So that's all good and well, but I've got a big stash of games on here, and it looks as if I've got to do it for every single one. Need to load this game card to this console. Great. Which virtual game card, which user would you like to use it to? Mine, because I purchased it. And I've got to go through the entire list of games that are on my Switch, purchased using my account. And do exactly the same for each and every game. And like I say, you've only got to do it once. But I've got another, 15, 20 games to do. I mean, it doesn't do it on things like, it says FIFA 20 here, which I actually have the cartridge for. I bought that one. and that one says, please insert the game card. So it's looking for the physical cartridge. But everything I've bought off the store, I have now got to go through and do this stupid little process for each time. And I shouldn't have to. I didn't have to before. I could just play these games and because I bought them. They were linked to my account. My Switch Lite is my primary account, my primary console, and it just played them. But something has happened well, let's say I haven't really switched my Switch on for quite some time. Actually, that's not true. Probably about a month or so, a couple of months at most. And all these changes have been made. And it is definitely to do with the Switch 2. Yeah, you may be in the same boat as me, but you can unlink consoles from accounts, but you can only do that if you log into a web browser. You can't seem to do it on your Switch itself. So I'm a bit annoyed. Why can't just Nintendo just leave Switch owners to just get on with themselves? Focus on the Switch 2. I've just had to go through a huge palaver to play the games that I'd bought on my console, on my account. If I hadn't been able to unlink my wife's Switch from my account, then all of the games sitting on my Switch I wouldn't have been able to play. And that's annoying. So yeah, thanks Nintendo for wasting about an hour of my time this morning while I try and work out what was going on, how to fix it, and now I've got to go through each one of these games on here and just load them. These are games that are mine, purchased, and I've got to do that every time. Well, not every time, but for each game. Because if I now go back into Hotline Miami, it plays. So that's fine. It's only going to be done once for each game, but you just shouldn't have to. Leave my console and leave my games alone. And obviously this is a big issue with virtual games, digital downloads, which is why I'm a huge advocate for physical cartridges. Don't actually think I've got one in. Nope. Because physical cartridge, you buy it, it's on there, it's yours. In the case of the Switch 2, we've now got this extra bit in there. You used to buy Switch games with just a case in it with a digital download, or download them from the store via digital download, or have a physical cartridge. Well, now we've got this one in the middle where you buy it on a cartridge, but the game's not on there. It's just like a header, basically, to say that you bought the game. You still got to go and download it. We are getting far too tied up in virtual and digital gaming, and you end up with stupid little problems like what I've had this morning, where you can't just play your games straight away. So that's just a bit of a rant from me. If you've recently upgraded your Switch and your digital purchases aren't working, it's asking you about paired consoles, you are going to go and have to remove those consoles, or if you've got the other console, then stick them together and they'll pair each other, and that will come over it. But yeah, it's so annoying. Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.